Hey guys, today I want to talk about some fundamental differences within small scale solo PvP to large scale group PvP, which is primarily what our guild does. So, the first and most important thing is something that really shouldn't be talked about, but is the thing that is the most important and the thing that will bring a group down so quickly, is just working as a team. Like, this is the #1 key to a large scale PvP group. Now there's basics to this, is sticking on crown, listening to crown, and then the more complicated things is like your build and your skills that you have on your bar. So the simplest things is kind of make sure you have siege. This is really important. Make sure you have immovable pots. Those two things alone can be massive differences between one group succeeding and another group failing. So then this is something else people need to really quickly realize, is group strengths and group weaknesses. So like within a single player, so you know, a lot of solo builds require you not to rely on anyone else, so you can't afford to have many weaknesses, so you don't have as many strengths because you're across the board a lot more and that kind of thing. But running in a group, your weaknesses are covered by another player, so you know, where you might lack healing doesn't matter because you have dedicated healers. So kind of the point I'm trying to make here is people come into a group with a solo build that they might have went and watched like Cypher's video and got his awesome gank build that's awesome and all this shit and kills players within seconds. Yeah, that is a good gank build. It's not a good group build. AoE is so important in group PvP, it is not funny, and it is something else I feel like I shouldn't have to talk about, but I see so many people every single day running in large groups and all they have is single target, or at the very best one AoE ability, when it should be the other way around. So that brings me to my next point. I want to give you guys a rough idea of what a average DPS in a large group should have on their bar in type of skills. So not specifically which skills, but types of skills. So you should be running 3 AoEs. Now proxy is a pretty generic magic ability that every magic build should be running within my groups. And then there's other examples like Elemental Blockade, Pulsar. There's lots of examples, I'm not going to go into them, but you should be running 3 AoE abilities, 2 single target abilities, so you still have the option to target a single player and burst a single player down. So that's only 5 abilities, and you know, you've got your DPS pretty much covered. So what should the other 5 abilities be? Okay, two slots should be like a self-heal or a self-shield or something like that. Now, I've just said that, you know, you're relying on your healers. Well, this is true, but, you know, in some situations your healers might go down or something like that, or, you know, you've got a large group running into you, you know, ult-bombing you, and even the best healers in the game can't heal through it. So, you know, it's just there for those kinds of scenarios. For an example, I'm running Harden Ward and Dampen Magic, my 2 shields, 1 on each bar. So that leaves 3 skills. Now, one should be like a support ability. It may be Rapids if you're a Stam build. CC is really important. If you're like Nightblade, you should be running Fear. Things like that, something that's going to benefit the group in some way or form. And then your last 2 skills are like buff abilities. They may buff the group as well as yourself, but you know, they're they might be your major sorcery, or your major your armor buff, which increases spell and armor resistance, those kinds of things. So that's a general gist of what a group build should have on their bar. So that's kind of the overall of what I want to get an idea on. Just reminding people, it is so important to work as a team, and trust your leader and trust your healers, and just listen to Crown's instructions. And this is important to the point where I've suggested in my raids that if you're have a really complicated rotation, like maybe a magic DK that requires you to have 6 buffs and dots and shit like that up all the time, and you're really struggling to stay on Crown and listening to Crown because you're concentrating on your rotations, dull your rotations down. Make it simpler, make it easier, so you can listen to Crown's instructions and follow the Crown and the group, because this is more important than any rotation in the game. And I mean that, and people might doubt me and might question that, but it isn't. Following Crown, listening to Crown, and working as a team is the most important thing. I guarantee you I could have a full raid of 24 that use 2 abilities on their bar. Not saying this is a good thing, but I could have a whole raid using 2 abilities on their bar, and working as a team will kill a raid of 24 people using every 12 abilities on their bar and not working as a team. And I will swear on that. Not that I'm saying anyone should just use 2 abilities, but if that's what it takes to learn to stick on Crown and work as a team, and then once you've got that skill down packed, then you can start increasing, your rotations and stuff like that. So that's it, guys. About the siege, I'll just touch on that really quickly. The difference between you getting 10 siege and 20 siege down in 80% of the times will be the difference between you taking that keep and the chance of a shitload of EP and AD rock up and taking the keep from you. So it is really important. Also, for any PvE players that are coming to PvP, a good example of how a group will work within PvP is trials. If you run trials group, you'll know everyone in that trials group's got a purpose and is there to help each other in a way and buff each other's damages. For an example, someone might run Hunting's Rage, which is going to give them higher damage for themselves, versus someone wearing Night Mothers, which is going to decrease their damage in some situations, but it's also going to increase the DPS of the group because they're debuffing. And that's something else that we need to see more of in Cyrodiil, is debuff abilities and debuff sets. So I'm going to have some other builds that will go into a bit more detail with each class and each role about things that should be run in large-scale PvP. But this is just something that you guys and the whole guild and our raid leaders and everyone just needs to work on. And we'll go from winning most of our one-on-one fights to winning all of our one-on-one fights, and even 2v2 fights where there's 40 of them and 20 of us. If we can do these fundamental things, we will win and we will kick ass. So that's about all I have to say about this. Well, it's not all I have to say, it's all I will say now. And a quick reminder to all the new players out there to check out my previous video. Myself are doing a pretty cool thing where I'm going to take 2 new players and get them geared out in endgame gear, and teach them the basics to PvP and playing in PvP. So if you are a new player, it will be worth going and checking that out. You can either send me a mail in the game letting me know that you want to kind of enter it, or leave your in-game @name in the comments, and I will choose, probably, I'm hoping by the end of this weekend, choose 2 players. Now, if there's a lot of people that are interested in this, I can continue to do it each month. So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope some of this has hit home for a lot of people, and I hope a lot of people do work on these things that I've mentioned. So cheers, guys.